Morning. I believe there is a dial-in. I'll try to get my team to post that dial-in information for those of you that are maybe a little bit more on the go. So this is actually the first webinar in what we are calling the Well-Designed Life Workshop Series. And we are going to be doing one of these webinars each month covering a different theme of a well-designed life. So I wanted to ask you, as sort of like a little conversation starter question, when I say well-designed life, what does that mean to you? What does that phrase mean to you? What does a well-designed life look like for you? Like today we're going to talk about balance because I have a lot of thoughts on that. Kathy says intentional, balanced, peaceful, work-life balance, purposeful, consistent, manageable, suits and serves my goals, thoughtful, calm. Oh, I love all this. Lots of good thoughts. Yeah, so the day designer team and I sat down a couple of weeks ago and brainstormed a list of things that when we say that phrase, like a well-designed life, mean, these things to us. And so in this workshop, we're going to be focused on balance and what that actually means and how we can balance our goals, or how we can set our goals for living a balanced life. But we're also, over the course of the year, going to be talking about joy and health and intentionality and inspiration. An inspired life is a well-designed life. Does that resonate with anybody? That really resonates with me. An adventurous life, so like stuff that's fun. An organized life, a purposeful life, a grateful life, and a meaningful life. So those are all things that we're going to be talking about in these different live workshop events over the course of the year. And I'm excited to be able to kick this off with you guys. Okay, so how many people were here for the December webinar? How many people were here for because we're going to kind of pick up where we left off. So I guess a couple of housekeeping things. Okay, awesome. Saw the recording. Perfect. So we sent out another printable for this workshop today. And there's a little checklist at the top. So in case you didn't see the December webinar, if this is your first time joining us, you can watch that webinar, and the link to the Day Designer channel is posted on the top of the printable worksheet that we emailed out today. So you can go back. There's a little checklist here. You can go back, watch that video, get that printable, fill that out. And you don't have to do that to participate in the workshop with us today. But there's as a quick recap, in the last webinar, we talked about reflecting on the past year, what worked and what didn't. We talked about getting to know ourselves and self-awareness and discovering our values, passions, and strengths. We talked about brainstorming goals. We didn't actually pick goals. We're going to talk about that today. And then we landed on our word for the year. We talked about landing on a word for the year. And so that's my next question. Do you guys have a word for the year? Have you picked a word for the year yet? I would be so curious to hear what yours is. Hustle, faith, joy, refocus, balance, make, beauty, wellness. Beauty is my word for the year. Oh, I love it, you guys. Lots of good ones. Yeah, beauty is really meaningful to me right now, and I feel like it ties into self-care. But I was talking about it with one of my friends the other day, and we were like, really, it's just an extra 1%. Like, it's not like I need to go all out and redecorate my house so that it's beautiful, or go get a facelift, or anything like that. But it's just a little bit of extra effort every single time. And so I'm looking at beauty as like this little extra 1% that I can add to a lot of things in my life, my goals, my skincare routine, how I'm cooking, things like that. So I'm really going to enjoy diving into that word this year. I'm excited about that. Thank you guys. Seek wisdom and understanding. That's really good. Okay, so that's where we landed. So we sort of ended there in the December webinar. And if you do have your day designer, now if you don't, there are, hang on. I have some notes for my team, and there's a couple printables. There are a few printables that we did, and there are a few worksheets in the Day Designer that are available as printables. So if you watch, so in the last webinar we did this worksheet. There's a printable for this. You can download this and do this without a Day Designer. But we'd love for you to buy a Day Designer too. So anyway, this is kind of where we are. I mentioned in December that I number the pages at the beginning of my planner. So I start with page 1. I call this page 1, and then this is page 2. So if you're following along with me in your Day Designer, I'm on page 6 right here. And what I have done is I have just kind of used this, and this is where we ended in the last workshop. I've used this page to brainstorm different goals. And you'll see I left a lot blank down here, and that's intentional because I feel like I'm in a season of life, and maybe you guys feel like this as well. I can only see ahead so far. I don't feel like I have a very clear vision on where I'm going to be in 20 years, let alone, a lot of times people say, where do you want to be when you're 80? I don't know. I mean, I've kind of got a vision of, and it's so funny because sometimes I'll ask people that question and almost everybody says, little white lights. Like, a dinner table. Like, we all want that same meaningful stuff out of life. But I just, in terms of like actual planning, it's hard for me to envision anything further out than 5 years right now. And that's even like big picture stuff. So in terms of this year, I'm going to reevaluate my goals on a quarterly basis. And we've got a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, and 12-month section here in the Day Designer. So you don't have to fill this all out at once. You don't have to brainstorm your goals for 12 months of the year. So I've really focused on probably like the next 6 months. And I've been working on this for quite a while just because it's what I do for work, for Day Designer and for myself. And I've even noticed that my goals have changed a little bit since I started working on this a few months ago. I heard someone messaged me on Instagram today and said that there are formative goals and transformative goals. And transformative goals are going to be that, like the really big, crazy, I want to make $1 million, or I want a 6-pack, when you, like me, never had a 6-pack before in your life. But then the formative goals are the little tiny, probably not as sexy goals. They're not as fun to talk about. It's like going to the gym daily, stuff like that. And I really want to focus on formative goals in my life this year. So that's another reason why I'm keeping my goal perspective in this 3 to 6, 9 month is I'm going to be focusing more on daily goals. So in your worksheets, on your worksheet, if you have the worksheet, you can, if you brainstormed your goals either in your Day Designer or on another sheet of paper, you can, the name of the game here is pick some goals you want to focus on. And so that's, if you're following along on this worksheet, the question, and you can use this space to brainstorm too, the question I would like for you to ask yourselves is, what are no more than 10 things? You can pick less than 10 things. I am only picking 5 things to focus on, 5 formative areas of life. But what are things that you want to be focusing on in 2019? And share if you want to. Like, share a couple of the things you want to be focused on in 2019. I see some people asking questions, and because there are so many people on the webinar, I'll answer some of these questions at the very end. So just a little side note on that, but keep asking them. My team is taking notes. Okay, stuff people want to focus on: family, work-life balance, new career, getting better at regaining focus when plans get derailed, starting a business, engaging in the community, rediscovering myself apart from my kids. I relate to that, Amanda. That's hard. My kids went to camp last year for 2 weeks, and I seriously felt like I found myself after that. Battling clutter. Yeah, like clutter is something that I feel like I battled not just in my physical space, but in my heart as well. In my heart and mind. Love this. Peace in my life. So, I mean, some people are mentioning 3 things. A lot of people are just mentioning one thing. I just want to give you permission right here. You don't have to think of 10 things. You don't have to think of 10 goals. And we're going to move on to breaking out our goals. But, okay, hang on. I have a book here. I'm going to talk about this. One thing about balance that I have noticed in my own life is if I want to live a balanced life, I need to be setting balanced goals. I need to be focusing on the things that will lead to balance. And I use the analogy of riding a bike whenever I'm looking for balance in life. When we're riding a bike, there are a couple of things that we have to make the bike go. We have to have a focus. Well, first of all, we have to sort of envision ourselves riding the bike. Like, we have to have this larger idea of, I am going to successfully get on that bike and pedal it, and it's going to move me forward, and I'm going to get from one place to another. So there's that big vision kind of stuff. The second thing that we have to have when we're riding a bike is we have to have a focus. So that big vision of and just envisioning ourselves getting on the bike and riding down the street or going to a friend's house or the convenience store or something like that, that's not going to help us stay balanced when we're on the bike. That's just this big long-term vision, right? So when we're on the bike, we're going to have to pick a focus point. And I realized this whenever I was teaching my kids to ride their bikes. If I said, if I didn't give them something to focus on, they would look down at their handlebars and at their feet, and they would kind of start to panic, and they would lose their balance and fall off their bike. But when I said, and I was a dork about this, I was like, look at the rose bush, look at the rose bush. And then they would pass the rose bush, and I would say, look at the flag, look at the flag. And I kept picking a focus point for them. I did this with all 3 of my kids. I kept picking these focus points for them all along the way so that they wouldn't look down. They wouldn't look at, oh my goodness, what's going on here? Something just happened. Okay. I didn't want them to look down at what they were doing. The pedaling, that stuff needed to be habit and routine and automatic and steering. Like, those are things that you have to do while you're riding a bike, but they're not things that you think about. And then the third thing that you have to do whenever you're riding a bike is you have to take action. So you don't make progress by standing still. Like, we have to be pedaling, but that constant movement and that constant action, when we're riding a bike, it's not something that we stop and think about every moment. We're not like, oh, I need to pedal. You know, like, we'll know if we need to pedal faster to get up a hill or harder, things like that. But we still are going through those motions. It's our effort that's changing, and our effort the consciousness of our effort is changing, and not really so much the things that we're doing. So when we're looking for a balanced life, and this is something that I'm applying to my goal setting this year personally, and I would challenge you guys to do the same, is, am I setting balanced goals? And are those goals, what are the habits associated with those goals? I fully believe that there is a habit we need to find at least one habit to associate with every single goal that we set. And this is another reason why I would advocate for fewer goals than a lot. So again, don't feel like you have to set 10 goals. This is my goal sheet. We're moving into part 3 right here on the worksheet, where it is all about breaking your goals down. This is the inside of my day designer. I'm leaving these blank intentionally because my brain cannot focus on more than 5. If I have to associate a habit with every goal, I can't do any more than 5 at a time. It's not going to happen. So I'm just going to give you some examples. I use these categories across the top here to balance my goals. Self-care, relationships, personal development, resources, that's where I put my finance stuff, and then vocation. And if you are doing school, you could, like if you're in grad school or high school or something, you could put school in the personal development category. That's where I recommend to put anything academic. So when it comes to breaking down my goals, I've only picked 5. And the thing that I love this worksheet because it challenges you to break your goals down into monthly actions, weekly routines, and daily habits. And you'll see down here on my bottom one, I just put an X through this because this is lose 10 pounds. I don't really have a once a month action that I need to be. Maybe meal planning actually could go there, but I pretty much do the meal prep and meal plan stuff on a weekly basis. So whenever I fill this out, I kind of skip straight to the daily habit. Now on this first one up here, I have date nights, and my monthly action is make a sitter reservation. I don't have a daily habit, and this is just I love how these worksheets trigger me and prompts me to think about things in a different angle. So I would just really challenge you and encourage you to fill all these out. But when I get over here, I don't have a daily habit, and I need to just ask myself, why? Like, why do I not have a daily habit? Well, it's a date night. It's the one. Okay, well, it's not really a date night. What is it about the date night that I want? And I want a closer relationship with my husband. I want us to have more meaningful conversations and be on the same page about stuff. So what can I do on a daily basis that will foster that type of relationship? I put date night, and that can happen once a month. But what I really want is a closer relationship with him. And so by thinking about our goals and breaking them down on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis, we start to actually get what we really want out of life instead of just what we think we want. I think a lot of people don't set goals because, tell me if this is you guys, you look out there and people are setting big goals. Like so-and-so is not just starting a business, she's running a business, and you think she's doing 6 figures. Or so-and-so has lost 100 pounds or is going to. And you're just like, maybe life is okay. Maybe you're in a spot where you're like, am I supposed to be setting goals? Like life is, maybe I'm not the skinniest ever, but I'm healthy. Maybe I could use a therapy session or 2, but I'm reading some self-help books. It's like there's not this next big thing. It's this in the middle. And I want to give you permission to just be in the middle and just realize that our goals, it's back to the transformative goal versus the formative goal. Our goals don't all have to be transformative, and we shouldn't have to feel guilty in our lives if we don't have these huge, big transformative goals. And I've even found from my own experience, and I'm hearing these stories from other people, I've asked people to email me stories of their goal setting experiences, because I'm writing a book about goal setting right now. So I would love to hear from you guys. On a separate note, I'll give my email address out at the end of this. But I feel like my transformative goals tend to be like 5-year, 10-year, maybe even 25-year goals. and the stuff that needs to happen in my heart to make me the best version of myself that I could possibly be, that stuff needs to happen on a daily basis. Daily. All this stuff. This is where it needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? Sorry if I started preaching there. So this filling out this worksheet can take you from these, really big, like transformative ideas down to like this, what do I need to be doing on a daily basis? On a daily basis, for my husband, I need to be, a therapist challenged me to do this one time. So this is a daily thing I could do, but to write down one thing for 30 days that you are grateful for about your spouse. And it was like a 90-day challenge. I wrote it down someplace. I'll have to figure it out. Especially leading up to Valentine's Day, that would be really cute if I just kept a list of all the things I was grateful for about him and all the things that he did, and then just gave it to him as a Valentine card. Aw, right? So cute. But that takes it to a daily habit. I want to start giving financially to different organizations, and a daily habit on that is I just track my spending and my time. Again, this is just, so these daily habits, they almost become intentions that you can then take back and plug into your planner, which we'll talk about at the very end. I put food prep on here. One thing I can do on a daily basis is, on a weekly basis, I could do some meal prep. But right now, on a daily basis, I'm trying to do a salad a day. I missed it yesterday, but I wasn't hungry and I wasn't going to eat just because I said I was going to eat a salad a day. On this one, I put walking 2 times a week. A daily habit probably for me on this one needs to be just getting more steps in. And a one-time task I need to do on that is I need to find my Fitbit charger, or I need to go buy an Apple Watch. And so another thing that I would tell you to do while you're filling out your goals is if you think of any one-time tasks like that, flip over to today and just start making a list. This is not my today. My today is way back here. Flip over today. I haven't even filled anything out aside from Day Designer Workshop. Fill that stuff out today. Okay, I'm going to jump back to my notes to make sure I'm not getting too off course with walking you guys through this. Does anybody have any questions about where we are right now? I saw there was a question about a replay. Yes, there'll be a replay. Christine's encouraging us to not compare ourselves to others, which is totally the truth. It's more important to be faithful in the small things than to set goals, as Michelle says. Thanks for all those. Thanks for all those little bits of feedback and thoughts, guys. I know that adds a lot of value to the other attendees in the workshop. Okay, so does that make sense how I use these worksheets to, and again, I'm only focusing on 5 goals at a time. So I'm using the categories on this page to just kind of get a brainstorm of a vision of what the year looks like. And then this is where I'm breaking it down. And I talked a little bit about that. Okay, I feel like I'm a school teacher with all this paper. Okay, now on the fourth step, we're going to talk about scheduling it in. Breaking down the goals is huge for those of us who are easily overwhelmed. Okay, Marcy, thank you for saying that. This worksheet in the Day Designer can significantly help you to break goals down. Now, let me think of an example. Like an example to, I would really encourage you to, breaking the goals down. Okay, somebody give me an example of a goal that they need help breaking down. Does anybody have an example? I feel like weight loss is always sort of an example I default to, but maybe somebody else has another goal. Just throw me one. A lot of people are typing. Learning a new language, okay? Managing money better, okay? Finding a new job, got a couple of those. Getting a new car, exercising, getting organized. Okay. So let's talk about let's talk about finding a new job, since somebody mentioned that twice. What are the steps that, and you guys brainstorm this with me. Let's help figure this out. What are the steps someone needs to take to finding a new job? They need to maybe get a resume together. They need to Google. They need to put the word out. They need to email people and ask if they make contacts, update their LinkedIn profile, network, identify what kind of job they want. Maybe they need to get additional education, skill set, certification, brainstorm what the ideal job is, make a list of done. Are we going to solve the world's problems here, guys? This is it. So those of you who said, I'm looking for a new job, these are the steps. There will be a replay of this. We could go through and you can rewatch it and pick out all these steps and just write all of these things down. Go get a piece of scratch paper and just make a big list. Or sometimes what I do is I use a blank page in my Day Designer. So I mean, I don't have anything on January. I rarely have anything on January 1st. So January 1st for me, it's currently blank, but this is going to be a great spot to put a notes page. And there's notes pages throughout your Day Designer as well. And then just daily, like go look at that. Daily, go look at that list. So you could write down on your top 3. You could write down, go look at the get a job list. And this is where goal setting starts to turn into magic, is by simply looking at something and even rewriting it. And that's why I'm also big on, I transfer my to-do list from day to day. A lot of people, when I first created Day Designer, asked me how I kept a master list. I don't. I rewrite it daily. Because it forces me to prioritize and think through what I really need to be focusing on. If I have to rewrite something more than 3 times, maybe it doesn't need to be in my to-do list. You know what I'm saying? So this is, okay, so does that help? Does anybody else have a burning goal that they want help breaking down? I gotta check my timer. We're 30 minutes. We have time. Does anybody else have a burning goal that they want help breaking down? Because this community just solved the find a job goal. Procrastination, buying a house. Okay, buying a house. I want to talk about procrastination too. Buying a house is what I would call a transformative goal. So to buy a house, there are a lot of steps. You're going to have to save money for a down payment. You're going to have to qualify for a mortgage. You're going to have to call a realtor. You're going to have to look at houses. That's a goal that could take more than 1 year. So I would take a piece of paper again, take a notes page, and just start writing that stuff down. Get as many things as you think you like. Community, pay off consumer debt. Yes, throw all the ideas out for buying a house, like all the things that you need to do. Also, yes, on the realtor thing, finding a realtor. The first house I ever bought, this is like maybe it's relevant. Who knows? Maybe it can help somebody. They want to sell a house. My husband's a realtor. He wants to sell a house, so they know stuff about financing and can help you find the financing. Michelle says wait until the market corrects itself, which I think is also great advice. I have a whole first house story that was super crazy, and I actually have a couple really awesome house stories. But I'm big on the buy low, sell high, fix it up in between kind of stuff. So waiting until the market corrects itself is good. Set a hard budget, visit more and more houses, visit neighborhoods. Okay, love it. Okay, I'm going to talk about the procrastination goal. Somebody said procrastinate, so I'm assuming that what you mean is you want to learn how to not procrastinate, stop procrastinating. So stop procrastinating would be the goal. And that's kind of a hard goal. It's not really, like find a job or get a house. The steps, it's almost an invisible goal, right? It's actually a change it's an internal change and not necessarily, it seems like on the surface, there's not really a thing to focus on. So this idea that there are visible goals and invisible goals kind of is something that I have been researching for the book that I'm writing about goal setting. And the invisible goals are a lot harder to achieve because it seems like if, let's say that you just don't feel good and you want to feel better, and that maybe that means eating. No, that's a bad one. Emotionally. Let's talk about depression. You just want to feel better emotionally. If you say that, if you walk into coffee with a friend and say, my goal for this year is to, feel better emotionally, they're going to go like, okay, good for you. I mean, the steps to getting that desired results are different for the internal things. So the reason I feel like I can speak to procrastination is because that has been me, 110% in the past. Procrastinator extraordinaire. I still jokingly say that I love deadlines. I love to wave at them as they fly by. I just am not very deadline driven. So that has been a transformative goal. That has been a goal that I needed to identify, and I have worked on for, I think, the past 4 years of my life. And here is how I did it. I practiced. So what's the opposite of procrastination is what? What do you guys think? The opposite of procrastination is willpower or self-discipline, or what would you say that the opposite is? Productivity. It could taking action. There we go, Amanda. Self-discipline, action. Self-discipline and action. Love it. Okay, so let's do self-discipline and action because we're getting a lot of those. Getting started. Yeah, all about the action. So if you want to kill procrastination in your life, what you have to practice is self-discipline and action in very tiny, microscopic ways. This gets back to the daily habit thing. So you're talking, you're filling out what does the daily habits need to be. Okay, we're going to break this down even further because so right here, like if this is stop procrastinating, we need to be thinking, what does our daily habit need to be? Think about something that you don't do every day. Just one thing. It could be you wait until after you drink your coffee to brush your teeth. It's one thing that I do. I brush my teeth every day. I just wait until after I drink my coffee. And if I think about brushing my teeth before I drink my coffee, it really bugs me. But I also know that brushing my teeth is something I'm already doing, and it's also a keystone habit. It's a habit that I can hinge other actions onto. Keystone habit was a habit that was developed in Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, which I don't have in front of me. But it talks about finding one habit that you can adopt in your life and then hinging other habits onto that. So brushing your teeth is a really great example because most of us do that. So I try to start with like something I'm doing every day. And if I'm working on building self-discipline in my life, I just need to do that one thing. I need to challenge myself to do that one thing the way I don't want to do it. That's it. Like that is the secret to building self-discipline and killing procrastination in your life. That's it. Pick one thing that you don't want to do and do it daily. That's it. Just one thing. Another thing that I am terrible about is when I take my shoes off, I leave them wherever I am. So I can never find my shoes. They're in front of the sofa. They're by the back door. They're under the kitchen table. They're beside my bed. That one habit, put my shoes away, is the keystone habit that I give all credit. I lost 22 pounds last year. I give all, I did, I mean, there were a lot of things that I did to lose 22 pounds, but I do not think I would have had the self-discipline and the willpower to do it if I had not committed 4 years ago to encouraging myself to put my shoes away every day. And then I also had a therapist tell me that another way, these are just brain hacks, guys. Another way you can trick yourself into taking action when you don't want to take action is realize that we have this inner child and we have this inner adult. And the inner adult is saying, like, pick up your shoes, Whitney. And the inner child's like, I don't have to pick up my shoes. I'm an adult. You know, it's like, no, you're not. You're a child. You're acting like a child. But we just need our inner adult needs to learn to speak kindly to our inner child. I know this is so corny, but it works. It has totally worked for my life. And so I just say, Whitney, you know, hey, Whitney child, you don't have to pick up your shoes if you don't want to, but you know that this is going to build self-discipline in your life, and you're really going to enjoy the results that you get out of that. And my inner adult is right. And after 4 years, again, so procrastination would be more one of those big transformative habits. Something that you know you want to stop procrastinating because you know that, or maybe it's formative, like you know the result is going to be transformative. The little tiny actions, like those are the things that are going to lead you to that big result. So maybe it's not, the results are transformative, but the actual action of doing itself is formative. Okay, does that help you guys? I know that none of that was on my notes, but I feel like talking about those examples from each of your lives is helping, and I love helping people. I would do this every day if you guys all showed up and started asking questions like this. Okay, so we have back to our little worksheet. We've identified what goals we want to focus on in part two. Part one was the last webinar where we got prepared. Part two, we identified the goals. Part three, we talked about breaking them down. And part four is all about scheduling everything in. And in your day designer, if you have a day designer, there is an ideal week and an ideal month worksheet. And here is, I'm going to show you how I'm using mine because I feel like it's a little bit different. But on my ideal month, I have, you would have to turn it sideways, but I am using each of these rows or columns to map out different types of weeks. So in this first one, I'm sort of mapping out what a school week looks like. In this one, I'm mapping out what a work week looks like. As we get closer to summer, I'll probably map out what a summer week looks like. And then I just have 2 extra columns in case any other season pops up that I need to, where the routines of the week are going to change. So that's how I'm using my ideal month worksheet. On my ideal week worksheet, I am using this to, I have written here at the top, I've got like a social media calendar I'm trying to follow this year. And so I've mapped out what I want to talk about on each day here at the top. And then you could use this to, you don't even have to use this for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You could use it to map out, like, you know, types of days, like again, like a work day or a school day, etc. Okay, whatever Caroline said was pretty good because people love that quote. Where's Caroline's quote? I'm gonna have to go back and see it. Oh, there it is. Oh wait, it moved. Each day compel yourself to do something you would rather not do. Perfect, I love it. Fortune cookies for the win. Okay, and then I've got my yearly, which is already a mess. But it's just going to be messy. That's just part of it, and I'm not going to worry about it. And then I'm going to talk through a daily page really quickly just because I've already gotten this question. Somebody messaged me on Instagram and they were like, what do you use the boxes for? So, and there's a daily page in the Days Under Printable shop. So you can actually go print off a daily page. There's a spot for your top 3. And on this section, I would challenge myself to think through my whatever 5 goals I'm going to be focusing on at the time. And I typically do self-care goal, a mental health goal, a relationship goal, which has to do with my husband and kids, a financial goal, which I always hate those, and then a work goal, which is currently write a book. But a friend of mine, Donna Miller, once said the first 3 hours of every day need to be dedicated to your retirement. And for me, writing that book is like a big long-term kind of goal. So I might put, right now I need to be working on the book proposal. So that would probably be on my top 3. Eat a salad would be on my top 3. And then probably the next thing that would be important to me would be spending time with my kids. So trying to get some quality time in with them. On these boxes over here, the do $, dinner, and don't forget. People always ask what to do in those boxes. Dinner is obviously just dinner, like what you're going to eat, who you're going to have it with, where you're going to eat, what time you're going to eat. $, I use for tracking expenses, or some people use it for sales goals, or some people use it as a spot to put bills. Do can be anything. It could be an assignment, it could be a deadline, it could also be bills. And then don't forget is just anything else. You could even figure out how to use this for your goal setting. You could say, dinner maybe is a health goal, and $, is your financial goal. So maybe these just prompt you for some of your things, and you could use those for, all year long. Oh my goodness, what else was I gonna think? Okay, so then down here at the bottom, there's a spot for your daily gratitude, which is just keeping you in the right mindset. And then obviously the spot for your scheduling your to-do list. And this is going to be, I've been using a Today and To Do planner for the past 6 months, and I probably will hop over to that during slow weeks still, but this is a busy year for me. So I am a flagship girl 110% this year. It's going to be full. Okay. Okay. Q&A. Questions. I see Julie texted me a couple of things. I'm going to hop over here and read those. Raquel asked, how do I integrate the printables with my flagship daily planner? Do I keep them together or take them with you everywhere? I have had to deal with a paper clutter problem in my life, and I have gotten pretty ruthless in the past year about throwing things away. So I even threw away my printable from the last webinar. Anything that I need to save, I will, especially this year because it's a busy year, so there's probably going to be a lot I need to save. I will transfer it to my planner somehow. One of the ways I do that is I try to identify whether, so if I'm writing notes on like a legal pad someplace, I go through and I categorize, are those notes tasks, projects, or ideas? Ideas go into an idea spot. Tasks need to be programmed onto into my planner, and projects need to go on a project list until they can be broken down later. So hopefully that helps on the printable question. Let me know if I need to answer anything else. Okay, Becky says, my main goal is to simplify all areas of my life, including decluttering my possessions and my schedule. Focus is a great technique to help you do that. no more than 5 things. Again, that's what I'm doing this year. And simplify all areas of life, declutter. I had one more thought. Oh my goodness, I need to. Goal is to simplify all areas. Okay. On simplifying your physical possessions, I would recommend a book by Marie Kondo. It was translated from the Japanese, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. It's a game changer. My main takeaway from that book, if you're into summaries, is this has changed my life, you guys. It's so corny. It's like the inner child kind of thing. I say thank you for something when I let it go. And I'm teaching my kids to do this as well. But if so I'm going to have to part with a printable, and I have filled this out and it has all my heart on it, and it represents who I am and what my year is going to be. But if it has served its purpose, there is no reason for me to hang on to this. I can transfer the information to something else. I can take a picture of it and categorize it on my phone. I don't need to keep this. I am so taking my own advice right now. I'm going to have to rewatch my own webinar and learn a little bit more. But I would say just in my head, or sometimes I actually say it out loud, I'm like, thank you, printable, for serving a purpose. And then it goes in the trash. I do it with everything. I used to keep like if a coffee mug broke, like the handle broke, I'd save the handle and like try to find some glue, Now I'm like, oh no, it's broken. Like it served its purpose. Thank you, coffee mug. I loved you, chunk. So recognizing that things have served their purpose. Another thing she says in the book is only keep that which brings you joy. And I don't use that as much as I use gratitude and recognizing that an item has served its purpose. And those are things that help me on physical declutter. And I hope to do more of that this year. I've been giving away stuff ruthlessly. Every time my cleaning lady comes, I'm like, do you want this stuff? So we downsized when we moved, and we're anticipating we'll do at least one more move in this year, and I'm just getting rid of it. Okay, the first 3 hours of every day needs to be dedicated to your retirement. So what are the big things that you need to be focusing on that are going to benefit you the most in the long run? For me, this year, that's writing a book. So that's that. Okay, any other questions? I haven't been reading questions because I've just been talking. Any other questions? Julie, does anybody else have any questions? Is that good? What a great webinar, you guys. Kathy says she's still struggling finding the perfect planner. Struggle no more. It's right here, Kathy. How to effectively combine digital and analog paper calendar, task manager, etc., like weekly, monthly, daily calendar forms, but also room for note-taking, separate notebook, binder. Complete confession, I'm one of those people that has like 50 Moleskine notebooks started, and binders and page protectors and all that stuff. So I use my day designer for notes. I will write on any page. I've got a list of notes right here on this page. You can see it's just a ton of notes. I will, if I need, you can create an index. So that would be a good thing that you could do on like a January 1st page, but you could say, where's my January 1st page? You could say like, you would just like write the date, just index. You could use stickers or something, but you could say, January 5th, notes from Alex conference call, so to speak. So I use my day designer for notes. I try to keep, especially if I am using a flagship for the year, I keep as much as I can in there. I transfer information to it. I write down things my kids say in there. Use it for everything. Does the daily planner come with blank pages at the back for notes? Let me show you. There are notes pages throughout, but on the back page, there are just 2 blank pages. So here's the final page of the year. Tuesday, December 31st. And then on the back, it's blank. And then there's a blank right here and then blank right here. This back page is just intended to be there's a blank page in the front and the back that are intended to be like cover sheets just to protect the front page and the last page, but you can use them for whatever you want to. They're just not intended to be used. And then there are notes pages throughout the Day Designer. They are often found on tab pages because and they fall at random spots because of how the pagination works. Whenever our team has to lay out planners and start, so if you've got Thursday, which is on the left side, but February 1st starts on a Friday, you're going to end up with a blank page. And so that's where we put the notes. And also, we do the notes in 3 columns. So because a lot of my notes are really short and I just need to make lists. So I love that. So this one is a go-to keto recipe list. I need space to write my list of things I intend or that should happen this week. Do you have a suggested area? You could use the weekly or the weekend page, or and a lot of people say they have busy weekends. I have busy weekends, but I don't write anything weekend wise down, so that page ends up being blank every week. At the bottom of that page, there's also a little strip of weekly things that you can use for meal planning, or just to remind you about stuff that week. Ivy says she has Post-it notes. I love that. Love that, love that, love that. You could also get one of our products from Office Depot, one of our weekly products from Office Depot or Staples, and just keep that with you. Oh, another place I love to write things down is a lot of times I put projects for the month in this column. That's how I use this column right here. So anything like any type of weekly checklist or anything, I often put that right here. And then the space at the top on the monthly pages, I use for various things as well. Love the suggestions that you guys are throwing out. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, guys. Thanks so much. Have I answered everybody's questions or enough questions? Amber says, what if I work in a corporate world? How do I make the first 3 hours dedicated to retirement versus just working? John Acuff calls that the 5 a.m. club. He says, get up a couple extra hours. Somebody says maybe they need a separate notebook. I have plenty of notebooks. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off now. Thank you so much. The messages will be available in the replay. It records the whole screen, and I will see you guys later. Thank you. Have a good one.